Oh, well, we're live. Hi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Designing the Nervous System of a Studio with Steamroller Studios. I am here with Amanda Renfro, Anna Matheny, Josh Carroll, and Kristen Grice. And we are going to talk about a role that they have instituted at their studio that is helping their employees grow in ways that they hadn't been before. But before we start, I believe we have a little something to show everyone. So
Yes. Yeah, we'd love to show everyone our most recent reel with our recent work and just let you guys check it out and then we'll move forward from there.
awesome.
At Steamroller, we are super excited about the craft of animation. We love working with our incredible partners around the world, helping to support them with animation services as they bring their amazing projects to life. We also love creating our own original content. Our team is working hard on a number of new stories as we continue to build our animation pipeline, leveraging the power of the Unreal Engine. We want to thank our crew of artists, technicians, and support staff, and we hope you appreciate the amazing work they do.
I'm in.
Kent, did you just open your helmet?
No, that would probably hurt. Just something stuck in my throat. In my helmet. Hey, this is fun. Look at me out here doing this, huh? Come on.
The sensors show no motion or any heat signatures, but I think you should head back to the ship. I'll take over from here.
No. I've got this. You just said there's nothing on the sensors, so let's not get carried away. I've got my blaster. Ugh.
Nice.
Hey, yeah, thanks for watching all and incredible round of applause to the team and hopefully you guys enjoyed that.
All right. So I'm going to get another thing up here that will be a part of the entire discussion. And we'll share that. And then we're going to just jump right into this. I am very good at technology. I am 46 years old and I understand computers. All right, there we go. We're gonna pop that guy live and big. All right. So that was an awesome video. And I think the quality of work in there speaks to how your leadership system works and the roles that you have put in place that we're going to be talking about today. So I think we should start with why don't you tell us what the role is?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. This role is titled Staff Development Coordinator. A lot of people know it and are familiar with a version of it in the industry in entertainment known as the artist manager. That was actually the title we had before we started, and we kind of it's modified and it's evolved into something very different because there is people management, talent management, and usually human resources. And the way that the staff development coordinator connects to HR is different here at Steamroller than it is in other companies because we are an extension of HR. And so the role is hugely connected to our leadership and the HR team, and we take care of the people the way that an artist manager would. We are responsible for the career and personal development of the artist at the studio. And of course, there's also a lot of development sides of these things as well. That Anna, would you like to chime in a little bit more on the role here?
Sure. A lot of what we do is checking in on our teams and seeing how people are doing. But when Kristen says development, another big part of our role is keeping track of what people need in terms of training and what their goals are for their overall career. And it's our role to kind of get to know each person that we work with and figure out, how can we help support them through that goal or help get them to wherever they want to be.
Awesome. Now I know roles like this. I'm in sort of a role like this at my studio, and the roles like this they only work if the studio is dedicated to scaling the team as the creative team grows. How does that work at Steamroller?
Well,
Yeah, so right
good.
now, sorry. Right now, we're currently scaling to each staff development coordinator. We take care of about 30 to 35 people. And once we kind of start to see our teams growing to get higher than that number, then we'll start thinking about how can we shift teams around, or do we maybe even need to bring in another staff development coordinator to take care of the studio as it kind of grows. And so we started as one, and right now I think we are at our sixth staff development coordinator.
Wow. And how 30 is a lot. My team is 15 and I sometimes want to like throw myself, you know, onto bed and cry. So how do you manage 30 per person? Like what's a day in the life of being a, a staff development coordinator for 30 people?
We've built an infrastructure in place with the HR team to check in with our people on a regular basis. We have very natural conversations with them that are structured throughout the year called coffee catch-ups. That is one main way that we make sure we maintain a connection, keep track of their development, and it all ties in with the leadership team because they also have a checkpoint with them once a year, one major checkpoint, and we reflect on the year with the team, and the staff talks to us about their accomplishments, their areas of improvement. We basically constantly keep a pulse on them throughout the year, and the SDC team have a very nice, like, fluid structure of how we keep these check-ins. And outside of coffee catch-ups, we also do one-on-ones. And we're just always maintaining also the well-being of the SDC team as well and checking in with each other. And our leadership always checks on us and we check on them. So it's all just really being like self-aware and compassionate and really listening and being proactive for each other as well as the staff so we can perform at optimum level to take care of 30 people and keep on track. So we all hold each other accountable here in that role, I think. And we do a good job at it too.
And I would like to toss a little bit of credit over to Anna and Kristen and the rest of our staff development team, as there are many stopgaps within the system that support, like, we didn't get here yesterday, we didn't get here a month ago, we didn't get here a year ago, and I'd love to dive into the origin and the history of all of it. But I will say, like, how in tuned the staff development coordinators are with the team is quite incredible. And I'm sure, Tim, you see this a lot, especially with dealing with 15 artists is a lot, 30 artists is a lot. But to have leadership team support it, production team support it, the owners support it, the C-suite support it. HR has really gone into the mentality. And speaking as a head of animation perspective, I've come to extremely appreciate what they do, as it has allowed me to have more visibility over my team. And the fact that they have these coffee catch-ups, we have a whole system. Do we want to dive into productive, Anna, Kristen, what that looks like?
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's a huge
So
part.
we-
And it's I see the delay. You take it.
I'll take it. Okay, so we use what Amanda just mentioned, Productive, and it is a software that we use to kind of take care of and keep track of when we're checking in on people. So let's say that I checked in on someone and they came to me with a request. I'll use an example of like a training request. They needed training on something specific. We have a system where we log these requests or these things that people need help with, and we have a tiered system. So I have a board that I can connect with each person's supervisor. And if it's something I can help someone with on a supervisor level, we can solve on our own, then we will do that. But then we also have another tier where I can solve problems with Amanda, for example. So we'll escalate it to to the heads of department if it's a bigger issue or a bigger problem to solve. I mean, I'm using problem, it's usually not problems or anything negative, but it's things that we want to accomplish for this person. So we have kind of a tiered system where we keep track of these items, and it really helps us not let anything fall through the cracks. So if someone mentions something to me and I'm like, oh, we can help someone with that, I will immediately go to this action item board in Productive and log, okay, so and so needs help with this, and that will forever be there and it will never get deleted, and we will just kind of keep track of it until it's completed.
Nice. So do you look at those things like I like to look at like goals and honestly sometimes problems as like a today problem, a this week problem, like a next month goal, a next year goal. Is that do you kind of categorize them that in that way, or is it more of a priority based just on what each individual needs?
Listen, Anna.
I think that what we do is a priority based off of what each individual needs. So we do have there's a category in it actually where we can select the priority: high, low, standard, urgent. So that's kind of how we communicate the priority there, because each thing that people come to us with is really personal and it's individual, everything that we're helping people with. So if somebody brings me an issue that highlights a general like need to change a process, then maybe we would talk about it in terms of week, months, year, I don't know. But for most action items or requests, it is dealt with on like an individual urgency basis.
And
I'll
just
chime
to
in a
even
little bit.
add to that.
Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, again, speaking more from a HOD perspective, we had to find ourselves with that priority structure. So this is where we actually ended up having a lot of what you may consider like growing pains, because we had to decide what was a priority, what wasn't a priority, what could we easily tackle versus what's a long-term goal. And that is absolutely a collaboration between the two departments, as one's coming from understanding where the artist is at, understanding their goals, where they want to go, what they may need. And then you have the HOD responsibility of figuring out, how do I go about that? Are there multiple people that have this issue that I need to solve? Is it a bigger discussion? Is this something I need to really sit down with an entire team and work through? And so we have these conversations on each of these task items that will go through and say, hey, this is what I'm kind of seeing. Maybe we can go about tackling it this way. Do you want to hop into a call and see how we might go about that? Because it may serve more than just that one individual's purpose for the studio as a whole, or maybe it does, help out that one individual through a growing pain, whether it be within the craft or whether in the human aspect side of things. So that conversation, the connection between us and the staff development coordinators is definitely a big part of that, as it, like, let me just say from a personal experience, it was difficult because you wanted to tackle every single task item as quickly as possible. Like, you want to take care of your team, you want them to be happy, you want to complete and check off that task, but it's impossible, especially as your team expands, whether it start at 3, 5, 10. Anim department alone is creeping up to 90, and I'm one of 2 head of animations, and I know that threshold tends to get very, very tough So having that conversation and connection line between staff development coordinators and HODs is a very crucial thing to kind of find out between us two. And Productive is a huge help for letting communication happen outside of meetings, which is awesome. But Josh, I'll pass it to you.
Oh yeah, no, that's right, all right on. I was just going to add that I think the strength of the system is it allows us to have sort of a holistic picture of our personnel. So, like Amanda, I'm also head of a department. I'm the head of the art department and a creative director at the studio. And having both the SDCs and the system in place allows us, I think, to get really strategic about our people. You know, we can really, elevating urgency on the board, we can look at that and say, okay, we need, like Amanda said, do we need to get a team like on this right this second, or is this something that that's more of a long-term thing that we can sort of chip away at over time and things like that. So it really allows us to really have a holistic picture in order to be able to assess and then take action, which is great.
So this is, I like you said, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen even over the past year. So this is something that's been built with the company, but I have to imagine it wasn't there at the beginning. So I would love to hear what life was like in the before times, maybe from Amanda and Josh, and just to kind of get like some context as to how this has helped grow everyone at the studio and improve, basically the culture of the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't have the system in place, I can guarantee you that, but we had the philosophies. So I'm going to kind of take this back to when I first started. A little bit of context history. I'm employee number 2 that joined Steamroller. And so I kind of got to see this progress and grow over the years. And this had happened to have been a time where I came from a job that I felt very unfulfilled. I felt very unsatisfied. I didn't know why I didn't like it because I came in, I animated, I worked with a nice team, I got paid a decent amount of money. There was no reason for me to feel that way. But a year later, like once I had met Jalil Sadul, Keith Lackey, Adam Meyer, I immediately felt connected to who they are as a person and what they stood for. So it didn't come to me like in full realization until a couple years later, and a lot of conversations with, mainly with Jalil on figuring out why did I have this feeling at that time and why did I feel so strongly and passionate about what Steamroller was doing. And that honestly came down to what the core was. And what the core was, and if any of you know who Jalil is or get to know him as a human being, his core has essentially become what Steamroller's heart is. And he lives by, philosophies that we always care about our people. We have quality relationships with our team, with our leadership, our production. It extends out to our partners. We care a lot about growth. We spend a lot of time in training. We want people to succeed within the craft itself, as well as within a human aspect and personal goals. And integrity was a really big one that I feel like had really drawn me in. That's based off honesty and good intent, and holding yourself accountable to decisions. And so with those philosophies already built at the core of what Steamroller was, we were able to keep that mentality and philosophy as we went through the years. Probably around year 6 is when we start seeing this pattern that, okay, we were at 5, now we're at 10 employees, 25, 35, 45, 60. Okay, we love this small studio vibe. We want to maintain that. How in the world do we maintain that? We want to keep this direct line for artists to be able to Slack the CEO or one of the owners for a question or even just some insight or advice. And we always treasured that line of open communication between whether it's a small batch of upper management or what is now quite a large batch of upper management at Steamroller. So this is kind of where I want to introduce a bit of Aaron Gilman into this conversation, as Aaron Gilman has come and started at Steamroller roughly 2 years ago. And Jalil kind of came to us and Jalil was like, it felt like it was his long lost brother that came into the studio. He's like, he's got the same philosophies, he's got the same ideas, he wants to build something awesome, and he cares about the people. And so we had met Aaron, and sure enough, Aaron had brought his ideas that Anna and Kristen have already touched on with these artist managers that were meant to take care of the people on an individual basis and be a bridge between upper management and or HODs, whatever how we want to look at it, and the artists. And so going back to the original question, we were very passionate about the philosophies that we had, and how we've been able to maintain them, but math doesn't quite add up when you start getting into those higher numbers, the 80s, the 90s, the hundreds, 200s. We can't we can't hold that at all. And I know, Josh, you really felt it when you came in, because you came in roughly around that same time of how to manage your team. And I might pass it to you. Yeah, like speak on
Yeah,
that.
sure. Yeah, sure. For me, it's like this, right? We, like Amanda was saying, we have like at our core a philosophy that wants to care for both the personal well-being, the professional development, and just the general, day-to-day well-being of our artists, right? And as a project lead, you can want that all day, but at some point, there's just a limitation in how much you can pay attention to and how granular you can get, right? So in the before time, before the SDCs came on board and before the role really started in earnest, it was one of those things where, I found myself in a lot of ways really trying to keep personal connections with the artist. But as the crew expanded, as the projects got bigger, there's only so many touch points you can have, right? And so really what in my mind, the after effect of the SDCs coming on board and that role really kind of getting going is you now have a partnership, right? Like I, as sort of a project lead, can call my SEC and say, hey, I noticed something in a meeting the other day where so and so struck me. It seemed like something was going on. They seemed like they were having a hard time, or there seemed like there was something going on with them. Can you check in on that person for me? And the SEC will go and have a one-on-one meeting, and then come back and be like, yeah, it might be worth having a conversation with, because they're struggling with something, or they need development here, or they're looking for training here, or whatever. And so it really in my mind expanded the ability to really care for our people to the level of like, okay, sweet, there's somebody out there that can get granular, and that can help me really kind of shepherd an environment that really crafts and cares for and really loves our people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so Aaron had came in and helped us build what that system is now today, with staff development coordinators, and it's been a wild ride, and it's been lovely.
So we have a couple of questions from the stream chat, and I think also on Twitter. And I'm going to kind of like jump through them. I'm not going to do them in order, but the first one I think would be good. I would love to hear. I actually was going to ask this question, so it's great. Can you give us an example of a common issue that happens and how it makes its way through the system until like there's a point at which you consider the goal a success, or if it's the unfortunate other way, you kind of like have to handle that.
Sure,
I don't know
Kristen,
if
do you want
Anna.
to take this one?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely. This all comes through productive as well, is our main way of contacting with leadership and how we really tackle these issues when they do come up. Say someone is, this can go either personal or professional. If I'm in a coffee catch up, we ask them a series of questions from training to personal work-life balance, because we want them to be just as happy here and working okay. If something outside of their work life is affecting their ability to do, we also want to problem solve for that. But we also offer training as well. And so say someone has a training request and they would like soft skills training, like, hey, I need something on communication, specifically dealing with conflict management or something, conflict resolution. And we go in after the coffee catch up, we make that note to ourselves as SDCs, and we put it in their specific folder on productive under the tier board system of this is going under training. This is we prioritize it based on our systems and what we do. And then the moment someone sees that training, whether it's the supervisor or us, in our case, we handle soft skills on human resources side. And so we'll take that training and then we'll work together with HR and with the SDC team, and we will customize and build a training dedicated to that specific request, because we don't have people coming in, and we have guest speakers and everything like that coming in and training our teams, but we're also part of the philosophy of the development side here at Steamroller, and what Aaron Gilman is also trying to achieve is we build our own curriculum with the HR team and the SDCs based off of the request of the staff. So no matter what, once it goes through the action item board, we complete it and we keep it and we check these things. And that can go, like I said, anywhere from training requests to work-life balance to stress to burnout. We're always keeping that flowing through the productive system. We hit complete and then we follow up. We follow up with the staff member. We ask them, did you enjoy the training? Are you doing okay? You know, we always check in with them. That's what those one-on-ones are for as well. So we make sure that we've carried out, we're being held accountable, and they're doing okay, or they enjoyed the training, or they would like more training. So we just keep that flow going. That's kind of the system that we have right now. And it's working really well.
Do you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, because I think Kristen touches on a very key word, that is accountable. And you even kind of mentioned like some of those tasks we can't complete. Like some of them come to an end where it might not be the positive outcome that we were all striving for, or it ends up being a low priority and focus needs to go somewhere else. The main point is that we come to a closing point, and that artist has transparency on what that answer is and why that came along with it, as that may stem into further conversations, or it's an acknowledgement, you know, that yes, the thought is valid. We are here to offer you every bit of information that we can in regards to this, but unfortunately, you know, this might not be the right time because A, B, C, or D, whatever it might be. But replying and closing it out, whether it be a to completion or to it's can't happen, then the awareness has to be there.
From one of the things that I like to encourage my team members to do is, if they don't feel like they're getting what they need out of me, to go to my manager to like skip level management sort of a deal. Do you have something like that in place? Like say you've got 30 people or like maybe you got up to 40 and somebody just feels like they're, you know, whether it's true or not, they feel like they are being, you know, kind of missed. How do you handle a situation like that where somebody might, you know, feel like they've brought it up with their SDC, but then they feel like they need to talk to somebody else about it? Do you have like anything in place for that?
I don't necessarily think we have like a system in place, but I will always encourage people to use all of the different venues of communication that are available to them. So we like to encourage like an open door communication. So I always tell people, reach out to me if you need help. Reach out to my manager. Her name is Sonata. I'll say, reach out to Sonata. I always throw Amanda's name in things too. I'll say, reach out to Amanda. And I know Amanda doesn't mind me, you know, offering that line to her, because we all kind of have the same goal of, if somebody has something they need help with, we want them to be heard. We want to help them in whatever way we can.
Yeah, I think fortunately we haven't had an instance of that as we do. There's also extensions of HR as well that are available further on the HR side. But
all right,
another
one more
cool thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just to add, another cool thing about the way that we decide our teams. So the staff development coordinators here, we're not assigned to take care of individuals where we would follow an animator from one project to another, for example. We are assigned to groups. So Kristen, she takes care of, for example, our IT department. I take care of a lot of different animation projects. So we take care of the groups as a whole. So what that means is, as people move from different departments or different projects, they're getting introduced to multiple different SDCs. So if there was ever a situation where one of people that I take care of on my team, they didn't feel comfortable coming to me with that issue, I would always encourage them, go to your previous SDC, go to whoever you feel comfortable talking to. And they just have the added benefit of, if you've moved to a different project or to a different department, you've met multiple different SDCs. They're not kind of just stuck with me.
Nice. We have another question from the stream, and it actually points out that we didn't really even go over this lovely JPEG here. This image of, you know, how the nervous system works at the studio. So someone is asking, what is a rollie? And maybe you guys, all of you, can kind of go through the kind of this the pipeline of the nervous system?
Yeah, I can take that one if no one wants. Okay. Well, lovely question. As Rolly, you should know Rolly. Duh, he's our mascot. No, but he is. His name is Rolly. He's a cute little guy that you probably saw in the beginning of the reel. And I believe Aaron and Adam are the ones that had worked on this graphic, as it's fairly new, but it's actually probably one of the most adorable things that we've had, and it definitely ties in all of the components of how Steamroller really thinks about the people and how we want our people to feel. And it's fully committed all the way from the C-suite to the HODs to HR, pipeline, IT, every single team. We really tried to live and breathe, these philosophies as we've seen our team hugely improve in quality of life or work. Again, grow closer to their goals. So within here, you'll see that we do have an onboarding going into the main engine. Within that space, we do see the SDCs as the cogs, as they are really the ones that keep the wheels turning. They show us all of the visibility. They make sure we're running smoothly. Any little fire, any little concern, any little need, they're there on the ground to make sure that everything is just a well-oiled machine. Going into every one of our departments. Now, they're not all listed here, I'll tell you that. We got the full pipeline now that you all saw a little sector of spice, but them going into what is the brain. So what do we put into our departments? That is training. We spend a lot of time training. SDCs, again, huge component to that, as well as HODs, artists, guest speakers. If people don't feel like they're upskilling, they feel like they're plateauing, in which just kind of leads to a little bit of not an exciting environment to be a part of. Then we have Rolly leadership. Now, I'm not going to touch too much on this because this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But Rolly leadership, in a nutshell, is how we elevate leadership, new leadership, into giving them opportunities to go through leadership training, how to give feedback, how to be in front of our partners, how to problem solve issues within your team, whether that might be morale, pipeline issues, calendar issues, how we go through managing rounds versus dailies. Then at the very top, you have leadership. So that's really where HODs, CEOs, upper management is all kind of living at the top pad. As we all know, leadership philosophies trickle down all the way into the floor. One sector I did not dive into a bit is with the SDCs. You're going to see a list of words here. So we got annual evaluations, one-on-ones, workshops, tier system, monthly, stand-up, less chats, retros, happy half hours, and coffee catch-ups. That's why I'm saying Anna and Kristen, the rest of the staff development coordinators, handle a lot. They're the ones that are figuring out how to smooth out all of these systems. We've just gone through our second time of annual evaluations. The first year was a huge improvement from what we had last year, or the previous year. This year we've made fine tunes, we've improved upon it, and it's even better this year. And now the next year it's going to be a big improvement, and the SDCs own that. So that's a lot of the day-to-day that they're handling with the teams. They're peeking in on shows and projects to support them. Then at the very bottom, I believe someone's going to horribly hate my lack of car knowledge. Pistons? I think bottom mechanically. But these are all the parts that just really go into what makes the engine run. Again, I talk about training, transparency, development, empowerment, compassion, leadership, creativity, inclusiveness. Like, it is, you have to have all of that working quite a bit in harmony in order to get Rolly to move forward. Yes, come along with me on this train. But yeah, so this was just a lovely graphic that kind of brought everything down to its simplest form of where we are today and what we're developing. Again, by no means a perfect machine, but it's a machine we love dearly and we plan on continuing to always improve. So
nice. Let's see. I have a question that I actually was very curious about, and hopefully people are watching this and thinking, I want to bring this to my studio and try and sell this to the people that I think should be starting it up. What advice would you give to a studio that is going to potentially look at implementing this sort of system?
I think one thing.
My
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anna.
You go ahead, Josh. It's okay.
I was going to say one thing before I know you're going to get into the granular details and but one thing I would say first of all is buy-in. I think one of the things that really makes it go at Steamroller is that there's buy-in from the very top. I think our entire leadership structure is totally on board with this whole system and invested in it and pushing it forward, and the implementation I think is through and through the whole organism, and so I think that is almost necessary for it to fully function.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Having that buy-in and having the support from everyone in the studio has definitely helped me personally within the role. I feel confident and prepared to go out and solve any problem that I come across or anything that if I see something that I want to improve or I see an area that we can improve, I feel supported and comfortable coming out and saying, "Hey, I see this issue. Let's tackle it." So I definitely think the buy-in is a big part as well. What I was going to say is talking about I don't know cars either, so I'm going to call them pistons because that's what Amanda called them. But um, having just sitting down and thinking of what do you want your pistons to be? What do you want your values to be? And really putting that into everything that you do, it's helpful. So when we are problem solving a process, for example, one thing that we do as SDCs is we say, okay, what value is this supporting? Why are we doing this? What purpose is this serving? And when we are running into issues, we will also ask ourselves, let's think of our values and think of how we can bring this into what we're doing. So having those core principles and knowing what you really want to achieve is really helpful in designing like the nitty gritty of the processes.
I'm going to supplement that with my advice. Be willing to evolve. I was the first artist manager slash staff development coordinator hired in this role because it didn't exist back in August of 21 when I got hired. Aaron had an idea, and that was it. He brought it over from his previous company, DNEG. And he was implementing these philosophies in his small, tight unit that he had there in the animation team, but it wasn't something that was big that the company was doing. He was doing it himself, going out, having these coffee catch-ups with his people. And when he came here, he brought this philosophy with him. And the one thing I learned about it from the very beginning when I was hired to now is it's evolutionary. The role has to be flexible, it has to mold, because we are determining a lot of things based on studio needs. We're listening to these voices. Everyone is contributing to how we're creating these systems because we want them to be heard. We want them to, feel empowered and developed. And we can't do that without them. So when you're in this role, when you come in and you want to start this idea, be willing to pivot, be willing to evolve. You're literally building something based off of everyone in your company, and you have to work with leadership, you have to work with HR, and you have to embrace it and embody the part of it that's evolutionary, which is the most exciting part for me. When I came in, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's just roll with it. And that was me, Aaron, and Sonata, the first three, throwing stuff in the air and going, I like this. Nope, I don't like this. Oh, that was a mistake. Okay, let's go back and fix it. So that embrace that part. The playing, kind of like playing in the sandbox. That's what Sonata calls it. So you kind of have to embrace that if you're taking on this role at another company where you want to implement it. Basically, that's my advice. Long-winded advice.
That's definitely how I felt when I started. I had no idea what I was doing, and it took me a while to. I've changed what I do over the 7 months I've been doing it. So I'm not even the same manager I was when I started. So it's good to hear that I'm not the crazy one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, Kristen is so right in that. I mean, I came in right after her, and what the role looks like now and what our day to day looks like now is so different from a year ago when I started here. And we're learning too that what works for one team won't work for another team. What works for one department doesn't work for another department. So that's been one of the things that we're working on is figuring out how can we make all of our processes and all of our systems work for every little group that exists within Steamroller. So that kind of adds to that flexibility.
Let's let's see, we've got about 15 minutes, I think, left. So I'm gonna go through some other stream questions to make sure that people get to be heard. Let's see. Oh, here's a one. I don't know. So for your teams, do you have like team members that are on contracts, or are they all full time? And if they are on contracts, how do you manage uh like artist expectations, and like how like artist expectations for what they want to learn versus like you knowing that their contract might is going to end at some point if it's a contract. So like do you work with contract artists in the same way to kind of give them ways to learn and train and everything?
I can take a little bit of this one. Since I kind of want to go back to how we view our artists. So to kind of go quickly to the answer, contract full employee, yes, we give them it's equal, treatment with our SDCs on shows, on projects. But at an earlier level, this is how we view our onboarding. We are looking to bring our artists on for the studio. So we aren't a studio that tends to bring people on or a bunch of people on for one specific show, one specific contract. It is essentially our interview process, and who we bring into the family it goes through a quite the process of us looking at quality and us understanding who you are as a human being and how that dynamic is going to play with current teams. So we're always in need of artists because we're hiring for the studio. What that means is if we bring someone on board, they may touch multiple shows. And we intend to, if it's a good relationship, they're working well with us, we're working well with them, because that's the investment that we're making within our, people that are working at Steamroller. Then we just continue that through. Like, we want to keep you for as long as you would like to stay, and as long as this relationship is working out and we're all happy and we feel like we're growing from both sides, then we want to keep that person for as long as possible. Now, we get more granular. I don't know how granular we want to get, but we are looking for people to stay with us, whether that does mean full employment, whether that means renewal of contracts, whether that means us always being sure that we can find a way to work together. So I don't know if that quite answers your question. Maybe Anna, Kristen, and Josh have something that they might want to add to that. But the philosophy behind it is that we are investing in our artists, whether you're a contractor or a full-time employee. We want you to be happy and we want you to be proud to work here, and we want to see you continue to work here. So we don't treat anyone differently because of paperwork.
Yeah, I would add to that you know for whatever length of time our people are with us, them gaining skills and becoming better artists and better people only helps us, right? So we see that as a net gain, no matter what. So really, and it's an ongoing thing, right? Like we're sort of we don't have like time set aside like at the end of the year or whatever for training. We're constantly in the mode of training and getting our people skills and exposure to things that they want to learn or need to learn or whatever. So really, it kind of is one of those things where we just don't make a separation. It's like, hey, if you're a better artist, you're better suited for the role, then you're helping us. It's a win-win. So we just want to give them everything we can at that point.
Nice. How do you? All right, so this is something that I'm actually like now I'm going to try and learn something for my job from y'all. How do you, when you've got artists who want to learn something, when they want to train, how do you manage their time learning that stuff versus their actual workload? Do you like work it into their daily schedule, or do you kind of expect them to do it in their own time? Is it a combination of the two?
Eh, Can I?
Yeah, go for it, Kristen.
Um, so we have a specific training budget once a month dedicated to each project and the departments, and they have the ability to utilize it's paid training. They have the ability to utilize that hour for hard skills and soft skills. And we have a very specific training curriculum throughout the year. Each month they can use that. They can break it down into 30 minutes. They could use the whole hour. And we also encourage any level of individual to train. So a supervisor can train, but so can a junior animator. If they have time management skills or a workflow that they like using and they want to show their teammates, we encourage them to also teach. their fellow peers. So we do have guest speakers, like I say, come in, and we do have a budget for that. But we also use the budget to empower our teammates to do it themselves internally so they have access to training constantly. And then, like I said, on our end, the SDCs are building custom curriculums on soft skills where we can also teach them because it caters to the studio's needs and what people are specifically looking for, rather than having someone come in with a different curriculum they've already built. This way, the staff is always in charge of what they're learning and they're constantly asking for it and they're getting what they're requesting in like skills. So I think that's something that's very cool and unique that we've implemented, and it's constantly evolving, much like the role, and we're still learning as we go. But it's definitely one of the coolest parts of this job and how we team up with leadership to meet those action plans and get people trained. And they're also good at spotting people on their teams and going, they need more of this, they need more of this. And of course, our leadership always teaches as well, and they've got some great trainings that they offer to the staff too. So it goes from all levels. People teach. Anna, I think you wanted to add something. Were you good?
No, I think you said that really well. I like what you said about every level providing training because it's so true. One of the biggest things when I talk to people is if I know that somebody does something really, really well, I don't care what their role is at the studio. It doesn't matter. I say you should share that with your team. And I think that that's really wonderful and it helps other people, be inspired to share their own skills too. And we do allow people to set aside time in their workday to prepare that training, to attend that training. We don't ever want anyone working on that in their own free time. It is part of their workday.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we've only got a few minutes left, so I thought it'd be a good way to end this to have each of you kind of have like last words on how this role works and how much you value it. So I think we'll just start with Amanda. Go.
Sure. All right. Final words. A big learning point for me was with how large a team is and how involved I wanted to be, it was absolutely impossible. And so when I heard the staff development coordinators, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to work with them. How do I get them involved? Like, what do they handle? What don't they handle? But I want to I want to know everything so I can help. You have to let go. You totally have to let go and you build a trust. So it's been a priority of building a trust with the staff development coordinators. They can handle issues that are happening on the team that help me put my attention more on training leadership, or helping a show that might be struggling or getting one off of the ground. I've been able to divvy up my focus better because of changing my mentality and my mindset throughout our time of developing the staff development coordinators. It's actually proven to be a very, very valuable skill that I would have just passed Amanda on the head and just say, it'll work out. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. So yeah, just know you can't do everything.
Nice. Anna, I'm just gonna pick people.
Sure, yeah. So, my big thing that I would recommend to someone who is coming into a role like this is really remember those pistons, those values. So, with everything that you do, remember what is your goal, what is your intention. And even if you make a mistake, even if something doesn't work, even if your idea doesn't come through, just know that as long as you're keeping the right intentions, people will see that this is a role that's developed to help people, and if people see the effort that you're putting into helping them, then that is a big part of what matters. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Trust the people that you're working with. So really lean on your team, lean on leadership. I know I work really closely with Amanda. A lot of my teams are animation teams, and I will ask Amanda any question under the sun, even if it's, hey, what does spline mean? I don't come from animation. I'm not an animator in any way. So just kind of having those lines and having that open communication and trust and knowing the intention has kind of really helped me come into my own on this role and feel comfortable in it. So that's what I would suggest to someone coming into something like this.
Awesome. Josh.
Sweet. So, final thoughts. I think for me, I know Amanda and Anna both mentioned trust. I think that's a huge thing. For me, the role is, like I said earlier, a partnership, but it facilitates dynamic and responsiveness on the team, right? You know, as someone who wants to always be able to sort of positively influence the environment of the team's day-to-day environment, right? It becomes a pivotal a pivotal load sharing responsibility where I have someone that I can always look on and lean to say, hey, is the team being taken care of? Here's some things that I noticed. Can you follow up on those things? And so it becomes this awesome give and take where there's extra sort of visibility from a high level to see how are the artists sort of experiencing their day-to-day workload and their day-to-day life at Steamroller. And so in my mind, it becomes a pivotal and amazing addition for sure.
And finally, Kristen.
I'm gonna say like one to supplement their comments, but also two additional quick notes. One, I am not empowered and successful to do my job without my relationship with my head of department. 100%, we succeed as a team, we fail as a team. That is why I'm supplementing like their comments as well. I know the HODs that I work with outside of this that aren't here, I'm successful with them. We go into it together. The other two notes is one, if you do want to take on a role like this, from personal standpoint, it is extremely challenging mentally, emotionally, and you will grow in this role. You will learn a lot about yourself, and it will challenge you so much. And I think that that's a very valuable thing to take away if you're in this position because it is people driven. It is very people driven. So you will learn a lot about you. And then the final note is I'm also nothing without my team, my other SDCs. We take care of each other. We rely on each other. We hold each other accountable, and we're very transparent and vulnerable together. So we have to do that. We have to be a cohesive unit in order for us to take care of our people. And so if I'm feeling low one day, or if any of my other teammates are, we pick each other up, we build each other up, we find ways to, keep us together because it is a very challenging job.
It's a hard, yes.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in order to take care of everyone else, we all look out for each other. So
Well.
those are my final notes. I'm nothing without my team or Steamroller. And also, we are embodied, literally living the philosophy that Aaron has, brought here of development, because the SDCs are also taken care of by leadership. They look out for us, they develop us in our roles so we can do our job better. So we are also undergoing the same path as everybody else in this studio. So you guys, the thing about the studio is we're not alone. We're all in the culture and community together here. And we all value that very highly.
Awesome.
That's
I
my
love to hear that. That's
sappy
amazing.
words.
No, that's like, I have 2 words to say to that, and that's fucking A. I love it. All right. Well, I think we're at time. So thank you, Amanda, Anna, Josh, and Kristen. This was a great chat. I was really excited to hear from people who are doing this. I really think it's something that most, if not all, studios need. So everyone watching, thank you. Check out Steamroller on Twitter and their website. And we're all done for now. So thank you all. And we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with I have no idea what, because I can't see the schedule because I'm doing this. Bye. Bye, all.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks, Tim.